Good morning, friends. Very warm welcome to the lecture series of BSc the topic cell. In that, we have learned detail about the prokaryotic cell. Now, today we will be focusing on the eukaryotic cell and its organelle. We'll look out on the structure and the function of this eukaryotic cell and its organelles. Whereas we know that prokaryotes are unicellular cell, but eukaryotes are unicellular as well as multicellular cells. Eukaryotes are true nucleus cell having the membrane bound organelles. In prokaryotes, we don't find membrane bound organelles. The nucleus present in the eukaryotic cell is bound with the nuclear envelope, and the DNA or the genetic material which is enclosed, that is nucleolus, by this nuclear envelope. But in prokaryotes, we see the genetic material or makeup which is lying freely and circular in the shape. Eukaryotes are very complex, having the multi-organelles in it. Nucleus is the controller or which controls all the activities of the cell. We also see the endoplasmic reticulum, that is passageway of the cell. Then Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus are packaging, lysosomes. We find vacuoles, mitochondria, there are energy producers, chloroplast, photosynthesis machine, ribosomes, protein synthesis, and the last one, that is cytoskeleton. These are the internal organelles of the cell. The external structure of the cell is the flagella, which helps for the locomotion, cilia, glycocalyx, cell wall, and cytoplasmic membrane. Today, we will be learning about this cytoplasmic membrane. As the name states, cytoplasmic membrane or cell membrane helps for the permeability. Permeability means transport of the ingredients from extracellular space to the intracellular space or vice versa. In 1915, the electron microscope was introduced. Till then, no cell membrane concept was found. Most of the workers have worked. Cell membrane is present in each and every type of cells. The experiment was going on the human red blood cells. Now, what exactly the structure of the cell membrane is? The structure of the cell membrane is constituent of the phospholipid. This phospholipid is made up of phosphate plus lipid. But here, protein shares 52%, lipid shares 40%, and some of the carbohydrates have also been observed in a very little or small amount. Whereas phospholipid are hydrophobic. Now just try to imagine the structure, or you will be seeing on the slides which are going to show. Hydrophilic means it is a water favor nature. Hydrophilic. Hydrophobic means exactly opposite to that. Now look towards the phospholipid structure in the cell membrane. It is bilayered structure. Now this phosphate seems to be like a circular or head like, and the fatty acids which looks like the small thread, or assume it as a legs like. These fatty acids are lipophilic, means they are favor of the lipids, and phosphates are the hydrophilic. These hydrophilic phosphates are attached on the cell membrane. Phosphate is attached on the cell membrane in the form of the small granules. By looking towards the slides, it seems to be attached in a chain, and the fatty acids or these lipids which are seen downwards or just beneath to these granules, that is phosphate granules. Double layer of phospholipid. Now why it is called double layer of phospholipid? In extracellular space, we know that there are aqueous and water molecule, that is H2O. But as well as in cytoplasm, we also find the aqueous material or sticky substances. Water molecules are also present in that space also. But these lipids that are not hydrophobic, that means they don't favor the water. So these lipids will be inserted to the lower side or towards the extracellular spaces. But while observing on the bilayer of this phospholipid, the lipid and the phosphate attached to the second layer, focus on the second layer now, the phosphate heads are projected towards the cytoplasm. That means they are not afraid of aqueous material or water molecule, and the lipids of the upper link chain and the lipids of the lower link chain are facing face to face towards there. That's why we see the structure, that is the bilayer structure of the phospholipid. Again look at this slide. we find the different types of proteins which are attached to this phospholipid bilayer. Now there are different types of proteins functioning in the different ways. Functions are also different of this protein. Few carbohydrates are also attached to these proteins. The larger proteins are attached on this bilayer, but some proteins are attached just laterally or near the matrix. Proteins are of two types: integrated proteins and peripheral proteins. Whatever the proteins you are observing which are in a very large size, in a different colors, those are integrated proteins, that is integral proteins. And the protein just are lying peripheral or lying in near the matrix, which are attached on the one side of this integral protein, that are peripheral proteins. So friend, this was the general structure of the cell membrane. Now we all know the function of the cell membrane is to transport. But after this theory, a scientist known as Singer and Nicholson, they proposed a model in the year 1972, and the model was named as fluid mosaic model. Both the things are same, whatever I told you before this invention, before invention of fluid mosaic model. But they find some differences, some unique features, and they postulated that is, the membrane is a fluid like, is a aqueous material like, sticky substance like, which flows from one place to another place, and this aqueous material is like the oil. While saying the differences, they also said that they found the mosaic of proteins in the lipid fluids. Now what is the mosaic of proteins? Mosaic means zigzag, or appearance of different types of proteins, that we can call it as mosaic. In this model, Singer and Nicholson observed that fluidity depends on the fatty acids. Proteins which are present in this model are moving through the lipid layer, and these proteins are unstable. They are unstable. Lipids are also moving in the membrane, and they are changing their position up to the 10 raised to 7 in 1 second. Lipid and proteins keep changing their position laterally, that is sideways. This was the basic phenomenon of this fluid mosaic model. Now this fluidity depends on the fatty acids. What are fatty acids? Fatty acid, lipids are fatty acids. Phosphate is the upper part. These fatty acid are long chain of carbon or carboxylic acid having a long chain of the carbon compound COOH. In this chain, they saw the double bonds which are unsaturated fatty acid. These unsaturated fatty acids and the saturated fatty acids. Look towards the slide. You see the bilayer of this membrane, whereas on both the layer of the upper part, which is attached on the extracellular space, and the lower part which is attached to the intracellular space. While observing at this figure, we come to know the phospholipid that is saturated fatty acids are straight. These lipids are facing towards each other and they are trying to bind, and they are completely become straight, closely packed one among the other. It means the ingredients or aqueous material will not pass that much easily comparatively unsaturated acids or fatty acids. Now these saturated fatty acids, which seems to be closely packed, we may focus on these other sides of this diagram. You are observing the phospholipids bilayer, but the lipids are not that much straight. They are somewhat crossing, or the legs, we assume it as legs. These legs are somewhat curved and not that much tightened. This is due to the unsaturated fatty acids, which seems irregular shapes, and this helps more, which moves, or this helps better for the transport. Now this lipids layer, we may call it as kink, and this unsaturated fatty acid increase the fluidity and helps to mobility from one side to the another sides. Now you are observing some granules in this diagram just between the phospholipids. Those granules are made up of cholesterol. Initially I told you proteins and lipid, which are 52% simultaneously 40%. Few are of cholesterol. Now what is the role of this cholesterol? This cholesterol helps in buffering of fluidity. What is the buffering? Buffering means regulate the fluidity. Now as we human are homeostatic, we keep our body temperature maintained 37 degree Celsius. But here the buffering says when the body temperature increases more than the normal one, then this cholesterol will help to stop the fluidity of the material or the ingredients. Whereas in most of the animals or the animals living in the cold region, sometimes we see the temperature that is 10 degree Celsius. For maintaining the fluidity, which will not allow to go low more than that, it will increase the fluidity of the ingredients or of the concentrated materials. That is what this cholesterol plays a very important role in the maintaining the fluidity, that we collectively called it as the buffering of fluid. This was what about the fluid mosaic model stated by the Singer and Nicholson model. Now we will move towards the function of this cell membrane. Now, as the name suggests, the function is what? Function is of the transportation function. Now, in transportation, there are two types. One is that is passive transport, and another one is that is active transport. In case of passive transport is known. In this transport, energy is not used or ATP gradient is not used. Without using the energy, transport is going on, that is known as passive transport. Whereas active transport, in this active transport, the ingredients to flow the ingredients from lower concentration to higher concentration, ATP molecules are used and it needs the energy. Now in transportation of these ingredients, we has to know that from larger concentration to smaller concentration flowing of the molecules, the transportation generally moves from larger to lower. It doesn't naturally move from lower to the larger, but naturally it will move from the larger towards the lower. Now this passive transportation is of two types: simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion. What is simple diffusion? Simple diffusion, movement of water across the cell membrane without protein help, is called osmosis. That is simple division. In this simple division, we see that, look out towards the slide and focus on the proteins. Those are shown on the colorful, which is seen as a large in the form. While talking about the proteins, we see the channel and carrier protein. Now see the diffusion of the osmosis. In simple division, water molecule, that is H2O, are simply moving from this layer on the extracellular space. These H2O molecule that are moving from one side to the another side is in very slow amount. Now, in this transportation, one protein is the carrier protein and the another protein is the channel protein. Focusing on the channel protein, you see the pathway that is located or looks like a tubes. The sodium which is present on the lower side just to the cytoplasmic membrane, this sodium will pass through these tubules to the another sides. These proteins act as a receptor of the cells. While talking about the transportation of water molecule are polar molecule, that is they are soluble in water. Whereas talking about the CO2, for example, these molecules are non-polar, non-charged and small in size, that is lipophilic in nature. Most of this time we see the proteins which are attached on the upper part of this larger proteins, and the receptor, protein receptor, which can help in transport across the membrane. This channel or tubulous protein, also known as aquaporine protein. Now see on the next hand, you are observing the protein. In the diagram, the upper part of the protein structure or molecule shows the inverted inside. This inverted part, glucose will settle on there and protein will change the shape of this protein, and these shapes will move opposite to release the glucose in the cell. So there are some glucoprotein which are attached to this protein's peripheral part. As I told, there are different types of protein. These glucoproteins are antigen. Now this antigen, I will give one example, that is CD4 protein. In HIV cases, this HIV virus is attached to this glucoprotein and the antigen is formed. So this is the transportation system in this cell membrane. In carrier protein, the molecules which are uplifted from the extracellular spaces, and those are non-polar. Non-polar means opposed to the water, non-charged and very small in nature. These molecules, that is lipophilic molecules, they are attracted towards this. These molecules passes throughout this carrier protein and mix in the blood vessels of the cells. This process is called the simple diffusion process. The second one is facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion is of made or work through the two types of protein. I spoke about the channel and carrier protein. We also spoke about the simple diffusion. Simple diffusion is the passive diffusion which occurs in the movement of water across the cell membrane without protein help, means without using the proteins or energy, is called the osmosis. Whereas in facilitated diffusion, these two channel and carrier protein plays a major role in the transportation. For example, of channel protein aquaporin, and for example of carrier protein, that is GLUT4 proteins. Now, this was the discussion on the passive transport without using the ATP or the energy. In active transport, energy is used for the transportation. Energy in the form of ATP. This active transport is also known as protein pumps. Look at the figures of the protein, that is carrier protein. In carrier protein, or in other protein that is having a tube like structure, or we may also call it as rod structure or tubes to transport the ingredients or material from inner side to the outer sides. Lower concentration of the ingredients to larger concentration. Now here, by using energy or ATP molecules, sodium or potassium. Now we all know that sodium are large in number in extracellular spaces, whereas potassium are more in number in intracellular spaces. But while exchanging this, the ATP is used when 2 potassium is released inside and 3 sodium is released outside, that means in intracellular spaces. 1 ATP is consumed in this active transport. So friends, today we have been seen detail on the cell membrane, the structure of the cell membrane, which is made up of phosphate and lipid, that is phospholipid, also known as the bilayer. We have seen the various type of proteins which are present in this phospholipid layer. 52% and 40% of this phospholipid Few in number, we have also seen the carbohydrates which are attached. Some proteins which are attached laterally to these proteins. How these carrier proteins and the another one helps in the form of transport. The last one, that is active and passive transport. In passive transport, without using the energy, transportation process is going on, and in active transport, that is transportation is done with the help of using the energy, that is ATP. In active transport is divided into two, that is simple diffusion. Here the water molecules are transport from one side to the another without using the proteins. But in facilitated diffusion, that is second one, facilitated diffusion is of two type, and which depends on the channel and carrier protein. Now we have talked detail about the channel and carrier protein, how this channel and carrier protein helps to transport the material from higher concentration to the lower concentration ingredients. We have also seen regarding the active transport. Active transport utilize the energy in the form of the ATP. So friends, whatever the slides and diagrams are shown in this lecture series are being used from the Unacademy Institute. We are courtesy to use their diagrams and slides. Thank you.